Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the PDPreps Podcast, episode 15, I believe. It is Tuesday, December 6th, 2022. We're counting down all of a sudden the days until 2023. It'll be here before we know it. But yeah, coming back, this is going to be our first, our first full non-football episode. We have no football is behind us now. Last week we recapped all the NCS championship games, but yeah, we are now officially moving on into winter sports. We talked a bit about that last week, but full slate of winter sports, basketball, boys and girls soccer, coming your way. But bit of a shorter episode this week. We're just going to recap kind of some of the things that happened last week. Look at all the tournaments that happened, in all the sports. But I said that we're done with fall sports, but last little bit, we're going to start here at the top with our last little bit of fall sports action. But cross country, Montgomery Hannah Thompson, sophomore state champion for Division III, finished out her season at the Nike Cross Nationals, a very elite, prestigious invitational event up in Portland. Thompson, I was watching this race on Saturday. It was a Saturday morning. It was like 30 degrees up in Portland, something like 20-mile-an-hour winds. I think it was some very classic Portland fall winter weather up there. So Hannah got the full experience. I called her after the meet. She was like, that was one of the coldest races that I've ever raced, but she finished 16th overall. Maybe not her strongest race, 17:36 for a 5K. But I mean, again, this is a crazy elite field that she was running against. I think the winner won in like 16:40 or something. I don't know. She was like 3 or 4 seconds off of the meet record time. So no one was catching, the winner, who's heading off to Stanford next year, senior. But Hannah did finish as she was the top overall sophomore in the field, and she was the top runner overall from California. So because she finished top 21, it was like 200 runners, I want to say, because she finished I believe it was in the top 21. She's finishes the year out as an All-American. So what can I say about Hannah Thompson? Just an incredible sophomore season in cross country, and she'll be looking to do more of that come track and field in the springtime. So Keenan, this is this is your kind of first year, covering, or I guess kind of around checking out, Hannah Thompson, but just kind of a generational talent, would you say?
Oh, 100%. I mean, she's on a tear, and she's going to be continuing to go on the tear even as she gets older. It's kind of rare you see such consistency like this young, especially in a cross country runner, no doubt. But I mean, she is one heck of a stud, and obviously we look forward to covering her throughout the rest of her high school career now and kind of see where she kind of gets on going there in the future. I mean, last person I can really remember, obviously, and people are already talking about is Sarah Hall and what she's done. Yeah. And Hannah's already broken those marks tenfold. We'll kind of see.
Yeah, it's I mean, she's already, she's walking in those same footsteps of, Sarah Hall and Julia Stamps and Amber Trotter and, those kind of all-time girls runners from Sonoma County. So we will, an already incredible, just to be even in the conversation with those runners is an achievement in itself. So we'll see what she can kind of do here in the next couple of years. But and with that, that's the final piece of fall stuff that that's our final kind of fall sports discussion here. So moving right into kind of the winter sports scene got really up and running last week. A ton of basketball tournaments happening. We'll get into the boys here in a bit, but we're going to start out with Keenan. You went out and you checked out the Cardinal Newman Classic, the girls tournament, happening over in Santa Rosa. A really elite field. Cardinal Newman obviously is coming off of their open, I think it was Division I, their state appearance, and their open, their appearance in the open division in the NCS last year. Very, with a really young team. Looks like they have reloaded. They played, again, great field with St. Mary's from Stockton, the team that beat, Newman last year in the playoffs. And then also Archbishop Mitty, which I probably consider the best team in the state. I mean, they like, yeah, I don't know. Go ahead, because you were at that game. So
yeah, obviously Newman Newman's 4-1 right now, right? They've beaten Reardon, they beat Reardon handily, they beat Redwood handily, and they beat Branson pretty handily too. But then
Defending state champion Branson too.
defending state champion Branson, exactly. But coming into the final day of the Cardinal Newman Classic, this was the game that had everyone on their toes, right? Archbishop Mitty ranked 18th in the country, Gus. They have Morgan Shelley, who's gotten dozens and dozens of offers already, has been looked at by like UConn, Stanford.
She's already a 5-star too, isn't she?
She's already a 5-star. She's a gold medal winner with the USA U17 team, I believe. And funny enough, Mitty's coach is the head coach of that U17 team, so she's got a couple gold medals to her name. But yeah, Mitty out of the CCS is by probably one of the best programs in the state, no doubt. They got one of the top freshmen in the state as well, in McKenna Velichko. She didn't have the best game against Newman, to be fair, but she's only a freshman. She's certainly on her way. But yeah, like I said, 18th in the country. Morgan Shelley. We knew it was going to be a tough test for Newman and a tough test for Mitty. It was kind of going into this game. It would be a good early season test for both teams to kind of see where they really are. The end of the day, Mitty's size is unreal. They got like everybody's over 6 foot at least. And the tallest girl for Newman hits 5'10". So obviously there was going to be a little bit of not of an issue there, but that was something to look out for. But Newman did just fine on the boards. They weren't getting out rebounded like crazy. They weren't doing anything. They were scrappy, and they were doing stuff they needed to do. I would say, and I talked to Monica Myrtle after this, I would say the psychological factor of playing a team like Mitty, kind of definitely hit them hard a little bit. Just looking on the other side of that court when you're warming up, seeing all these 6 foot plus girls, Morgan Shelley, all this other stuff, that could get to your head mentally. No doubt. But it was pretty uncharacteristic of Newman, considering with what they've been through last year and the team they have this year. They weren't playing the way they normally should. It was very sloppy in the first half, incredibly sloppy, especially on both sides. But Newman was very uncharacteristic. They played a lot better in the second half. I think the first half they had like 9 fouls total, and then the second half they had like 2. So yeah, it was the second half was a lot better from Newman, but Mitty had pulled away clear far and away from that point on. But it was a 58-31, I want to say, was the final score. Double check me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But regardless, good thing for Newman is Mitty's in the CCS and Newman's in the NCS, and Newman is still probably by far and away the best team in the NBL, no doubt. It's probably going to be Newman and everybody else. Sorry for any other team there, but they're probably the favorites in both the NBL and the NCS. Coach Myrtle thinks that this is her deepest team that she's had in years. Yeah. Kate Schott, right? Leah Martinez coming off the bench, Julia Brunetti. They're a smaller team for sure, but they got speed and they're scrappy, and they can shoot the lights out when they're hitting it. So Newman is still definitely a powerhouse to be messed with, definitely in the North Coast section. So don't be surprised, if they go that far again or even further this year with that deep of a squad. So Coach Myrtle's very happy about who she has in her lineup and who she can go to. The other thing about Mitty is Mitty, everyone played for Mitty. Like they were subbing out people like wildfire, and they didn't even drop in quality at all. So it's really scary, Gus, when a team's like that. But yeah, early good season test for Newman. Obviously they're going to pick it up in when the tournaments they have left before league play starts. But yeah, man, just Mitty is a tough draw for sure, Gus.
Yep. No, this is why Newman played them last year. I saw that game too, and kind of it was the same thing. Newman Mitty's just bigger, faster. Again, they're one of the best teams in the state. And they, for a reason, like they're insanely good. And they have tons of talent. And far and away the best team in Northern California. Again, they were the the runners up in the state open division playoffs last year. So basically they were the second best team in the state. So, and again, from what I've seen, they're only better this year. I mean, Chelly's a junior. They even have a few transfers who are not even eligible yet. So they're going to be, again, if they're not a state champion this year, I would probably be a little surprised. So, but again, this is why Newman plays them. Newman plays them to see what that level of competition is. I don't think, it would have been nice if maybe Newman had kept it closer, but it is just one of these games where it's like, I don't necessarily think that Newman was expecting to win that game. It's just, you want to go up against this top flight, talent competition and, measure yourself and see what you have to work on and be like, hey, that's what we want to achieve. So, I mean, again, lopsided score, but Newman is going to be just fine this year. They're, like you said, too, far and away best team in the MBL. They're probably bound again for an NCS Open Division bid. They're once again going to be the team to beat this year. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think another thing, Newman's defense actually played very well. For all it being said and done, I know the score says one thing, but Newman's defense is when they're on, they are stifling. And especially with a lengthy team like Midi, it was kind of nice to see their defense kind of clamp them down a little bit. But Gus, I mean, on the other side of Newman hoops, Newman boys off to a pretty good start there, Gus. I mean, Sam Klein has a good start to their year. What do you got to say about the Cardinal boys there?
Yeah, a couple really good teams off to boys basketball teams off to great starts. McKinleyville and Healdsburg both won their tournaments last weekend. Newman is now 6-0 on the year. I believe Healdsburg's 5-0. Newman went up to McKinleyville and won that tournament pretty handily. If I don't have the games ahead of me or in front of me right here, but they beat a really good Arcata team. I think that was in the second round. They have a kid named, I think, Bento Jackson, who averages like 20 something a game, and he got his points, but they won by 15, 16 plus, I want to say. Just a really, really strong from them. But yeah, like you mentioned too, senior guard Sam Klein, I believe he was a first team all-leaguer last year in the NBL Oak, but 2 30-point games already through 6 games. He's averaging over 20 points a game. Just off to an absolute tear to open the season. So absolutely a guy to be watching. He's going to be lighting it up this year. And I'll be able to, I think both of us are going to be able to go check him out and check out Newman playing for the first time this year at the Rose City tournament this weekend. So good field over there too. Petaluma is the returning champion. St. Francis out of Mountain View, they're a very, very, very good team. They're going to be there in the field this year. So we'll have some coverage out coming from that. But yeah, like I said too, a lot of boys teams, had great weeks last week. Healdsburg 5-0 now. They won the St. Helena Sutter Home Invitational, kind of a round robin style format. But a couple big wins for them. Sam Vanden Heuvel was named the tournament MVP. I believe he's had 3 games over 20 points. He's off to a great start for them. Healdsburg could be an issue over in the NBL Redwood. They dropped down this year. Another team that had a great showing was Windsor. They made it to the finals of the Piedmont tournament against a really good field too. They beat a team from they beat a team from Los Angeles in the first round, and then they beat Northgate, which was a very, very good team last year. They graduated a lot of pieces, but they're still a very, very good program. Windsor beat Northgate, and then they lost to Acalanes, who should be very good this year, in overtime by 2 points. And I believe they had a chance to tie or win it at the buzzer, but couldn't get it done. But Windsor, they started the year 0-2, but 2-3 now, heading into this week. I believe they're at a tournament this week, but I have to double check their schedules. But so Windsor, Healdsburg could also, could both be, Windsor and Newman could both be kind of up there in the NBL conversation. But I think the team at the moment to beat is Montgomery. I was checking them out last week, last week at their Peterage tournament. They lost in the final game to Branson. Branson is legit. I mean, they're insanely good. But Branson has 3 guys who are going to be playing in college, 2 guys who could probably be playing D1. I believe the coaching staff from Montana State was out there scouting one of them. On Friday night or Thursday night, I think I saw. But they have they're very, very good, and they're just kind of relentless, kind of like Midi almost a little bit, where they just kind of keep the pressure on you, and they're deep and they're talented at the top. So Montgomery should be very, very good though again this year. They won the NBL Oak last year undefeated, which was kind of a surprise, but Yeah, they don't have a ton of size, but they have a lot of really, really good guards and good shooting, and their defense is always, fantastic. Donovan Hawkins, returning first team all league guard, Caden DeVries, second or honorable mention, returner. He's made some big strides this year, so they definitely have some pieces. And also Isaiah Wright, who was, a big time, wide receiver for them. Is just an absolute freak athlete. I mean, he threw down 3 dunks in the game I saw on Thursday that were just like just kind of out of nowhere. He just exploded up, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, he just dunked the crap out of that ball. And then even against Branson, he had 4 blocks, and each one of them was just like insane blocks. Like just got up and met guys at the top of the rim. So Monty, Healdsburg, or Monty, Windsor, Newman, probably all going to be up there in the conversation for the NBL Oak. But then even like a team like Pioneer could also kind of surprise teams. They're up from the Redwood. They made it all the way to the championship game of the Nevada tournament. Also last week, they're 4-1 now on the year. They lost to Head Royce, in the championship game, but they had a couple, of really solid wins. Got to watch for sure. A 6'6" senior center, Dave Baraka. He had a couple double doubles for them. Just a big body. Rangy, long arms. He's going to be kind of a problem inside. Height always does well. In Sonoma County, and he could be a big problem. Pioneer could absolutely be a factor, in the NBL race. And last team I want to touch on too is Ukiah. Ukiah 6-0 on the year. They won a tournament out at Pierce High School. I think it's out in like Solano or something. But boys basketball got off to a fantastic start last week. So we'll have probably a little more preview coverage on them coming up here at the end of this week, heading into we have a couple of NBL openers coming up next week, including Newman, Montgomery. I believe that game is going to be at Newman. That's going to be on, I think, Wednesday, I want to say. So some big games coming up for sure. But some big games coming up this weekend. But it was a very, very good weekend for boys hoops last week.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's kind of good to see these teams jumping out to fast starts here for sure. Could provide some good competition in the NBL this year for sure. Which is always good for us, Gus. Makes our jobs a lot more interesting.
Absolutely.
But no, it's like I said, it's exciting, and we'll see where these teams kind of, as they keep going through the long season that is the winter season, no doubt. On the other hand, girls soccer, obviously Windsor is the team to beat. They won the Rockland tourney for sure. Although Montgomery went 1-1-1, Gus. That's pretty interesting when you get that kind of record in a tourney, 1-1-1, down in the San Diego. But they should be pretty decent as well, no?
Yeah, it would appear that way. Montgomery was down at a tournament down in Newport Beach, and they got a 3-0 win over Kingsburg. They got a 1-0. They lost 1-0 to Flint Ridge Sacred Heart. I don't even know where most of these teams are from, and then they tied 2-2 to West Hills from Santee. I don't even know where that is either. But again, it's just some good early season competition for Monty. But it is looking like Windsor is probably going to once again kind of be the team to beat. I believe they won NCS last year. I think it was Division 2-3. Don't quote me on that, but they won their first ever NCS title last year, and they're bringing back. Jaden Holden Reed, the University of Washington commit. She's set for a huge senior year, and then Elsa Nolan too, to sign to UCSB. She had 4 goals in one of Windsor's games earlier, last week. So Windsor for sure is looking like the team to beat. But don't get out Maria Carrillo too. I think they're also going to be that mix, and we'll find out a little more about them here coming up once they kind of start to get some games under their belt. But Windsor, Monty, Carrillo, probably all going to be in that conversation for girls soccer. And then boys soccer, a very, very interesting result last week. And boys soccer kind of starting to slowly kind of get up and going. There was no kind of like big blitz like there was for boys basketball or for basketball last week. But soccer is going to kind of start to get more into the season here this week and and in the coming weeks for December. But huge result last week. Santa Rosa, beat crosstown rival Montgomery. First time since 2016. They snapped an 11-game losing streak to the Vikings. Montgomery has been the kind of class of boys soccer here in Sonoma County for a while. So that was definitely a kind of startling result. 1-0 was the final score, but maybe could this be a shifting of the guard kind of here, in Sonoma County this year, or is this kind of maybe just an early season hiccup for Montgomery? I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
That was the first game of the season, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So who the heck knows what's gonna happen? If that's the first game of the season, God, Lord knows what's gonna happen with the rest of the season. We could see some surprising upsets here, Gus. For sure. But props to Santa Rosa. I know the Panthers are very happy up there. Obviously beating Monty, that's always a huge deal, no matter what in any sport. But yeah, congrats to the Panthers, man. Big early season win. And I think us just across the board and all the sports we're having so far, obviously wrestling is going to come in a couple weeks here too. But just some great competition early on. And across all sports, and I think that's kind of good for us, and kind of good to see where teams are really at with this level of competition early on.
Yeah, it's I mean it's going to be I think there is a lot of parity in and around Sonoma County this year, and maybe there are going to be a few favorites, but I look at the races in boys basketball. It's going to be very, very exciting among local teams, and boys soccer too, I think could be very, very interesting this year. And again, I think there are a few favorites obviously in girls basketball and in girls soccer too. But no, I mean, again, this is a very fun season here to cover in Sonoma County. It's kind of like volleyball, I guess, too, where it was like there were a lot of those tiebreakers kind of in play there at the end of the year. So I think we could be in another situation like that, come here in late January or early February, where when these league races are wrapping up. So yeah, we'll see kind of how things play out.
But let's not talk about those tiebreakers now, though, because we had trouble with football, so we don't want to.
Yeah, we still got a ways. Still, we got to worry about tiebreakers.
We still got a ways to go, man. I don't want to deal with any more tiebreakers after what football did to us.
Yeah, but yeah, no, we're chugging right along into winter sports. Yeah, and I think we're gonna have a lot more stuff coming out here in the next couple of weeks about just general season preview stuff and a couple of feature stories as well. Kind of, I think in the works. So, yeah, a lot more stuff coming your way. But yeah, we kind of had to keep it a little briefer this week. But hopefully, I think here in the coming weeks we're gonna have a little more content about looking at just general overall season previews and kind of players to watch. And, I think we might get our rankings kind of up and going again too, at least for basketball. Yeah. So we'll see how things go, but yeah, I think that was kind of the end of topics for this week. What do you say?
Yeah, no, I think I think it's a pretty good starting point. I mean, for the winter season, obviously things just got kicked off. So like I said, we'll be talking a lot more in the next coming weeks. But yeah, winter sports, on to the next one, Gus, on to the next season. You know how it rolls, baby. You know how it rolls. So,
yep.
Thank you all again for tuning in. We appreciate all your support during the football season. Hopefully you guys keep that rolling into winter sports here. And other than that, we'll see you guys on the next episode.